So you feed that punch slow. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And that may work, right? And which is, right, this idea is fantastic. But it looks really cool, but it's John Wick stuff, right? So we don't want to do that. Who here has been in a fight sometime in their life, right? Who here has been attacked sometime in their life? Who here has been attacked with a weapon? Who here has actually been hurt by that weapon? Okay. And we start to see, and usually when I do this, like this is a different group. Usually when I do this, the hands start to go down and less and less and less and less and less, right? So what's your point of reference? If your point of reference is John Wick, that's probably not the greatest point of reference, right?
I think I killed more people than him.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah, inside voice. So it's that idea of understanding what happens in those situations. Who here knows what stress responses are? So just call out some stress responses. What are some stress responses?
Anxiety.
Tunnel vision, yeah. Flinching, yeah. Flinch response. Freezing. Yes, yeah. Loss of fine motor skills, right? So every now and again we do a little bit of stress inoculation when I find that people are doing it a little too much, and I'll start poking them in the shoulder, and I'll say, okay, stop me. And they start grabbing my hands. And then what happens is I start screaming and yelling at them. I become very visually aggressive. I start screaming and yelling, but I'm still just doing this. And all of a sudden they start doing this. Why? Stress response, right? So, again, different group of people here, right? We've all been training for years and years and years and years. We have rebuilt our muscle memory. We have altered our muscle memory to be able to do certain things. John, can I bore you? If you just feed a punch to my nose, right, this looks really cool, right? That looks really cool. But it also, as one of my instructors pointed out, it also means that I think I'm 3 or 4 times faster than you, right? So you feed that punch slow. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And that may work, right? And which is, right, this idea is fantastic. But it looks really cool, but it's John Wick stuff, right? So we don't want to do that. So not among us, what is the most common punch outside of these walls? Overhand right, haymaker, something like this, right? Okay. So all I want you to do, can I bore you? Okay. So thank you, John. John agreed this morning that he would do this for me. So
Drive here.
Yeah, exactly. So what I need you to do is we need to build this kind of idea of a flinch response, right? So I had a very back in '92, I think it was, I got a chance to kind of play with Tony Blauer a bit. And he makes a lot of money teaching people to pick up their hands. Really? I'm oversimplifying, I totally understand that. But at the end of the day, he makes a lot of money teaching people to pick up their hands and protect their head, right? So that's what I want you to do. Now, I don't want to stand here and just do that. So if John takes a swing at my head, right, I need to be able to stop it, but I can't just stand here, right? I have the option of getting away and just defending myself, getting my hands up, protecting myself, and distancing myself. But then he's just going to wind up and keep coming at me. So what do I want to do? Well, we know, because we're in this group and we have this idea, we want to move in. We want to control that. If he throws that punch, and I move in and I do nothing else, right? It's like being at the end of a baseball bat. If he's swinging a baseball bat, I don't want to be at the end of that baseball bat. That would suck, right? So as he throws that punch, my hands come in, okay? Now, yes, I'm being a little lazy right now. I'm just not moving, so come a little slower. We're coming in here. My hands are just coming up, okay? I'm just coming in and picking my hands up, but I'm moving in while I do it, okay? That's all I want you to try right now. We'll set that up, and then we're going to play with that in a whole bunch of different ways. Because there's a difference between martial arts and then what we call combatives, okay? So martial arts is built on a whole bunch of fancy moves and a whole bunch of other things, which has its time and place, right? But if you're not trained and you need to be trained very quickly, Combatives is built on your natural flinch responses. Okay? So try that. Just try picking up your hands and moving in and see what that does. The one arm is going to go to the base of the neck. The other arm, John, can I borrow you again? If I block too high and I get into his bicep, this is still going to hinge through and stop me, right? If I try and stop it here, he's already got a full force arc going on, right? He's going to power through my arm and he's just going to knock me out. So I need to move in so that I can get into this position where I'm stopping him back here. Okay? So go ahead, give it a try. Fairly simple, right? Fairly simple. Simple works, right? Simple's quick, simple's fast. The other thing I'm not doing as well is I'm not scissoring, right? I'm not getting into this idea, you throw that punch, and I'm not trying to open up. I'm not trying to do this sort of thing. I'm not trying to strike, which we can do later, but at some point in time, it's just forward. I'm just moving forward momentum, and I'm moving with my body weight, and I'm impacting into the base of his neck, okay? Now, the literature says that a stun will last from 3 to 7 seconds. 7 seconds is an eternity. I don't think that's right. I think that's a little too long, right? So when that impact happens, you've probably got anywhere from 2 to 4 seconds. I would suggest, unless you really rock the person, but we never make that assumption, right? Never make the assumption that anything you do is going to work. One of the things I love telling people is that nothing I teach you will work. And then I love watching their face because they're like, why am I here? Okay? At the end of the day, nothing will work unless you make it work. Okay? To Kevin's point, you've got to put effort into it and you've got to work hard. Okay? So we're just stepping in, we're having our arms come out. Now, if I want to get control of John, what's going to happen is I need to move in. I need to get even closer because I can't control John from boxing range, right? I can't control him from here. So John throws that punch, I'm going to do this, boom. Okay? Now you can knee, you don't have to knee because that stun should last a couple seconds. Okay? But first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a takedown. Okay? So hit, down, down. Okay? Automatic. Very quick. This is a handcuffing position. Okay? Thank you, John. Okay? So be careful when you're doing that. Please, the sound of 2 coconuts hitting together is not what I want to hear, right? So, but again, I'm going to do it super slow. John comes in, I make this impact. I have a couple seconds here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull him to me, which pulls him off balance just a little bit, just a little bit. I don't have time, right? I don't want to get to this position and hold him. All this stuff is this John Wicky stuff, right? I could do this, but he's going to start punching me in the junk. And I don't want that, or he's going to try and take me down, or bad things are going to happen. So I need to take him down to the ground very quickly, okay? So immediately, boom, in, drop, down. Okay? Okay, give it a try. The other thing about Combatives is it's not, well, if I do this, then this is my response. And if the person attacks me that way, then that's my response. And going back and forth and all around over the place. And you have, at the end of the day, I had an instructor at one point in time when I was younger, who, John knows, who was very, very proud of having thousands and thousands of techniques, right? But the problem with that is now you have a file folder that's full of thousands and thousands of techniques, which slows down your response time. Okay? So we want to minimize the number of techniques that you're doing. It sounds really boring, and as an instructor, it's probably not the greatest idea because you don't have a lot of techniques to teach. But that's the truth of it. You want to have a small number of techniques, and we're going to see here in a little bit that this one technique can be used a whole bunch of different ways. Okay? So now, if you want to play with this, okay, it doesn't have to be this fancy. The reason why we do this, so if John throws his punch and I come in like this, sorry, I heard your teeth click. So if I do this, okay, it looks like I'm just pushing the person away. Okay, because when I'm teaching, I teach a lot of security And I don't want to teach them to do something like this, where we come in and wham, right into the throat or right into whatever, right? We could do that, and especially in this group, yeah, we can definitely move to that, right? But we always have to assume that we're being recorded, right? Recorded. So if we get into that state of training to do that, that's what we're going to do, right? And it looks horrible on video. And when you have to go to court and explain why you did what you did, that's a bad day for you in court. Right? Okay, so how can we use this against a straight punch? Can we do the same thing? We can do the same technique against a straight punch? Yeah, we can, right? So John's going to throw a straight punch. Now, I do want to close this one. I don't want to, like, given the choice, I don't want to go this way because now I have to worry about this one, right? So given the choice, I'll go this way, okay? Now I want to do the same thing, right? Boom, I come in and out, I come in and hit, either forearm or elbow or whatever. If I'm up against Dax, I am not going to try and hit him in the base of the neck. Can I bore you actually for a sec? Thanks. So if you, I'm not going to be trying to reach up and trying to get to Dax's neck, right? He throws that punch. You want to face that way? Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So just armbar, right? Oh, sorry, haymaker. So if I come in here, I'm not going to impact him in the same way, right? It won't hurt him the same way. But I do want to do this. Drive right into the sternum. Okay? So if I'm dealing with somebody a lot taller than me, then I'm going to go what's easiest for me, not what's best or whatever the technique says. Okay? Thanks, that's all I need. Okay. So could I do that against John? Yeah, of course I can, right? I can come in and drive in this way, right? It's an unpleasant thing, but I mean, and again, if someone does 5 million push-ups a day, you know, anything like that may not hurt them, right? It's like midsection blows, right? Someone does 5 million sit-ups a day, may not hurt them. I'm obviously not that person. So whenever we talk about self-defense or whatever, it's eyes, nose, throat, groin, sometimes knees, if you're comfortable coming up on one leg, right? So what can we do now? So John throws that punch, straight punch. I fold on it and hit. Okay, this is a 1-2 scenario. I don't like a lot of 1-2 scenarios. We get into this idea of this block and punch idea, right? That's, by the time I block, he's already throwing this other punch, right? So this idea of block, punch, and receive and give back doesn't really work. I want to come in and hit immediately, right? Now from here, can I do the same thing? Yeah, I can scoop the arm and do the same thing. Right? It's still there. It's still there. Thank you, sir. Okay? So it's still there. All I'm doing is I'm scooping the arm out of the way and dragging him down. Okay? Very simple. Give it a try. So, give it a try. Let me know how it goes. Okay? You can all get a hold of me through probably most of the instructors in here. Okay? Even though this is probably the first time you've ever seen me. Right? So, all right. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much.